Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Fake Nerds Watch. This is Fake Nerds Watch for Star Trek Discovery Season 4. I'm Brandon T. McClure. With me, as always, is Michael Karls from the Downright Nerdy podcast.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Always happy to talk more Star Trek with you. Good or bad, bad or great.
I'm really glad. This is the episode I was waiting for. I'm really glad we're doing this. Forgive me. I just rolled out of bed. It was a long podcast day yesterday.
Good morning.
Good. Thank you. Yes. 12:30 p.m. Real quickly though, we haven't talked since the start of December. And I wanted to talk to you about my Star Trek Advent calendar.
Oh, cool. I want to hear about it.
Have you seen my Instagram stories at all?
I have seen a couple of them. Yeah. Let me pull it up right now.
Okay.
Refresh my memory as you talk.
It might still be there, but on Instagram I've been posting that I got this beautiful Eagle Moss Borg Cube Star Trek Advent calendar.
Sweet.
So it's a Borg cube, and then you have like compartments that you slide out, and then there's little boxes.
Darn, it's not up.
Unfortunately, I didn't prepare in time, so it's downstairs. Maybe next week I'll show it.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. It's got these little boxes and everything, and each one has a really nice gift. And I'm blown away by these gifts. Advent calendars I've had before have been like, pop figures or chocolate, or like I also have a Avengers Lego one. But these are like, we got like socks, a pretty high-end pin, a really nice deck of cards. The deck of cards is very funny.
Okay.
It's got like a. How well do you remember the original series?
I remember it.
Do you remember that there's a game that Kirk makes up called Fizbin?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Well, they give you a deck of cards, and it's like, you can play Fizbin with this deck of cards, and then they explain the rules of Fizbin as explained by Captain Kirk, and they're nonsense. Okay. They're just nonsense. And it's like, you know what? Might as well just play poker. And I'm really impressed with it, and I just wanted to shout out, just like, I really like Eagle Moss in general. I've got tons of Star Trek ships just off to the side here.
Out of curiosity, I know Eagle Moss is a bit on the pricey side. How much was your Advent calendar? Oh, nice.
That's $75.
Hey, that's not bad.
That's not bad. And you know what?
Sounds like what you're getting.
For the quality of gifts, I'm very impressed.
Good.
I really like Eagle Moss in general. For those of you who are also Eagle Moss fans, they have tons of great ships, great models.
Yeah, I got a couple. I had a couple. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about ornaments. I got a bunch of ornaments.
Oh yeah,
Eagle Moss. So
yeah, I mean, they also have like a Doctor Who Advent calendar this year, I think. But the Borg Cube one was just so beautiful, and I had to have it. I'll keep posting on my Instagram, so follow me on Instagram if you want to see more of those gifts. And next week, I think I'll do a little bit of a show and tell. Show you.
Nice, yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
But let's get into this episode. Star Trek Season 4, Discovery, Episode 3, Choose to Live.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about this one?
I feel like this should have been Episode 2 and not Episode 3. I think they should have flip-flopped. Because I mean, we get a lot of what we saw in earlier seasons of Discovery with Michael Burnham's mom. We get to see a little bit of that group of the group of Vulcans that was in Picard.
The Co-op Malat.
The Co-op Mature, whatever you say.
Co-op Mature. Co-op Mature.
Yeah, so it was not my favorite, but it was not my most hated. I think it was just kind of there for me.
That is nicer than what I would have said.
Okay.
I thought this episode was ass.
Ass, yeah.
I thought this was terrible. There's one element in the story in this episode that I do really enjoy, and I want to talk about that in a separate moment. But ultimately, I found this episode useless.
Well, let's talk about the actual plot, like what happens in this episode, real quick, right?
So the plot of the episode is basically someone from the Qowat Milat has killed a Federation commander, not a captain. He
was the first officer of the USS Credence.
Credence, which is a beautiful looking ship, I must say.
I loved it.
Yeah. Always really nice to see another Starfleet vessel, and especially the
any
interior.
Any other Starfleet vessel, I would love it. Yeah.
Literally anytime you want to go to another Starfleet vessel, I'm here for it. And so they steal the dilithium because they're giving dilithium away to planets to help with their warp travel. Cool. And then it sets up an interesting mystery. But you're right. It kind of comes in a weird place in the season, and
we're only at season 3. That's the
4.
The weird no, this was episode 3. I mean,
this is episode 3. Sorry, I think you said season 3.
No, I did say season. That was my fault.
Yeah, it comes in a weird place, and it doesn't really. Anyway, so the rest of the plot is that Michael Burnham is charged by the Federation president to go after the Qowat Milat with her mom, who is one of the Qowat Milat that we learned in the last season. And they have to figure out why she has killed these people, why she has chosen to bind her sword to. If you remember Star Trek Picard, yep. Elron.
Yeah. Elroy is from the Jetsons.
Okay, so I was like, that's not the right name. Elron has bound his sword to Picard's cause, and so the idea is that they bind their sword to lost causes, to help them. And I don't necessarily dislike the idea of the Qowat Milat. I find more connections to Star Trek Picard to be a little bit more grating than I probably would have if I liked that show. But they have to go after them, and that's the idea. And what are they going after? And I find the setup to be all right. There's an interesting idea there.
It seemed a little too easy and convenient, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like we're just being spoon fed, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're not, like, we as the audience and fans aren't smart enough to get you know, be able to look past something that might be a little bit more, have a little bit more something more three-dimensional. This was just it was very spoon fed, this entire plot.
We get a lot of
predictable and very predictable.
I guess the Qowat Milat haven't evolved at all in the last 700 years.
At all.
Because they're still the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Fine. I like in a show that so heavily redesigned Star Trek aliens. I'm happy that the only thing that they didn't change the Romulans at all. You know, they could have been have a facial mask with all these pointy things. They could have done whatever they wanted, because apparently Discovery loves to use prosthetic work. But the Romulans and the Vulcans are just ears, and the Romulans have more of a brow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and so it's the idea of this episode is revealed that it's to help Navarre. Oh my god, I just remembered the other plot line. Sorry. It's to help Navarre rejoin the Federation. It's to help them kind of have this moment of, we'll help with the Federation, and then this will kind of help us move closer to the direction of rejoining the Federation. Because that's what the Federation president really wants.
And on the flip side, the president of the Federation, she's obviously walking on eggshells, because she doesn't want anything to ruin this possible reunification, I guess, of their inclusion into the Federation. Mm-hmm. Even so much so that she doesn't. Once the Qowat Milat lady is finally caught, even though the crime was against a commanding officer of a Federation starship, she still hands them over to the Navarre, even though no crime against Navarre has been committed. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, whoa, what? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, I get what you're from a political standpoint, but then so if this stays consistent with her character, which I doubt it will, because I feel like Discovery, they kind of go back and forth with a lot of these side characters as to what they want their character to actually be. But
Yeah.
if she decides that she wants to be this person that puts politics above the common man, or the common worker of the everyday Starship Federation, I see her demise coming hopefully.
Yeah,
Because
and then Burnham could become the next Federation president.
I hope that doesn't happen at all. I would probably at that point be like, okay, Star Wars, you got a leg up.
Okay, no, sorry. If the trajectory of Star Trek Discovery is to be believed, then she'll become an admiral by the end of this season, and Saru will become the president of the Federation. And then by the next season, she'll be the Federation president, and Saru will be like a god or something. Because they have to keep getting them up in rank.
Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right. There's some weird things about the president that doesn't really jive with the first time we saw her. And I get that we are learning this new character bit by bit, that she keeps everything close to the chest, but it does feel a little weird that, like, at the end of the episode, she's just like, yeah, no, Navarre, take it
The
from
only
here.
thing that I think Discovery did really well with her character is the fact that she's a politician, right?
Yeah.
And she has her own aspirations, and like everyone in politics, they want to leave their own legacy. You know what I mean? So they're willing to do whatever it is to gain it, whether it be sacrifice to a person who murdered a Starfleet officer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I find her motivations to be they're obviously not revealed quite yet, because she's been making some very questionable decisions in these past 3 episodes. One, she goes on to on that mission with Michael, and she kind of criticizes her, even though she's been so successful. She still makes decisions that aren't for the greater good, kind of thing, which is what she would do, obviously, which is seen in this episode, where she sacrifices the woman, even though she does that for the greater good and trying to get these two people back together under one flag. But then it's a little weird that she thinks that she can't handle it, but then she sends her off on a mission with her mom, and like nobody else. It's just her and Tilly, your favorite character of all. And
how dare she bring Tilly?
But you know what I mean, though? It's like, it was just so it is very bizarre. I mean, I don't want to give the creators of Discovery so much credit. I don't think that they're that that they're that inventive and that smart to actually write something like this. I honestly think that it's just the result of poor writing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, only time will tell with each episode that we watch.
Can I ask you a question?
This is what I'm here for.
Who's the chief tactical officer of the USS Discovery?
A tactical officer. I would assume it would be Osoye.
Owokishin?
Yeah, that's what I meant. What did I say?
No, she's the navigator.
No. What about the woman who?
Detmer?
No, not Detmer, because she's piloting.
Yeah, she's the helm.
It's the Asian dude, I think.
You think so?
Possibly, but I mean, there's no specific role that we've seen.
So
I mean, just like the ship's counselor and the science officer is kind of like the main dude, or the doctor dude.
Here's why I brought this up. Tilly is only on that mission because they don't have a chief
security officer.
Because they don't have a tactical officer.
They don't have a wharf. They don't have a wharf. They don't have an Odo. They don't have a
Tuvok.
A Tuvok, yeah.
Like, they don't have anyone like that, and it hurts the show. Honestly, it does for me when I'm watching the show and they have to figure out a way to MacGyver a main character into a position that character should never be in. Like, if Picard was like, I'm going to go after this guy, Worf, come with me.
Right on there, yeah.
Because he's the tactical officer and he's a main character and it makes sense. But they don't have anyone like that. Tilly
you
is
would
a
think,
main character.
especially in the state of where the Federation is right now, you need a tactical officer with so many unknowns out there. You know what I
I'm
mean?
sure that they have a tactical officer, but because it's not a main character, and you and
Why
I
would
can't name it,
yeah, yeah.
there's no. They're just gonna be like, Tilly should go on this mission, and that's ridiculous because Tilly
But
doesn't
she had
have.
a really good reason. She's trying to find herself.
This mission is way too important to try to find yourself, Tilly. I hate Tilly. It is not. I hate her. She's annoying, and she was like, maybe I want to leave Starfleet, and I was like, please do. I don't much care for that story of Tilly, but it does tie into something a little bit from last week. So I'll piggyback off on this. You know, I talk about a lot. The hard thing about this show for me is that there's no specific roles for the main characters. They're all scientists, and then the side characters are the only reason why we know Welkishin and Detmer their roles are because they're constantly sitting at stations that we are familiar with. We look at those stations, we're like, oh right, navigation, helm, cool. But I don't know what the other stations are on that ship. I think one of them's a science station. I don't know. But one of the things that I struggled with the main characters is because they're all serving the same role, except for Culber, who I think is really coming into his own as a character, and I find that much more interesting this season than I have so far. I really like him finding his role as the counselor of the ship, and I think it's giving him more to do than just being, well, I'm a doctor and also probably a scientist. But like having him kind of be that emotional core of the ship, kind of where they wanted Deanna to be, or even Esri Dax. Like I think that's really helping that character form into someone not just in this amalgamous role of main character that we have most of these people in.
Mhm.
And I like that, and I'm interested in seeing where that goes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He was more of an unexpected kind of pleasure, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, in the first couple seasons, he was there, but he didn't feel like a main character.
Yeah.
And for them to kind of focus in on him this season and Pat in last season, um, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that they're doing it with someone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, there's enough depth here that and a good range of the actor has good range, so it's not bad.
Yeah, and I also really enjoy that Discovery has a bar.
A bar?
Yeah, Discovery has a bar.
Yeah.
That Ferengi is working at, by the way.
Mhm.
I thought that was really interesting because like Discovery doesn't seem like a big enough ship to have a bar, but that's a nice bar.
Do they
Like the
have
flame pits.
no? Do they have their own little 10 forward or anything like that?
It must be that.
Yeah, they're whatever their
Like a mess
equivalent
hall.
is.
Like
Yeah,
they
mess
must
hall or some kind of stuff.
probably, if I had to guess, their mess hall. Oh yeah, I mean they have like a cafeteria place, which is
Yeah,
very similar to what they had in the original series, and
and the
Enterprise.
lower decks.
Yeah, but I think when they got the refit to be the Discovery A, they included more 31st century or 32nd
Mhm,
century pleasures like a bar or maybe or holodeck technology or
mhm.
things like that. I think the refit was a little bit more expansive than just remove the nacelles.
Right, right, right.
Um,
Um, so you wanna talk about the other storyline with Book?
I hate Stamets.
He's annoying, isn't he?
I I
Okay,
normally
so if you had to go on an away mission with one person, you can only choose between Stamets and Tilly, who would it be?
Stamets.
Stamets, okay.
Yeah. I because normally I like Stamets as a character. I liked him in last week, and I don't mind what he's doing in this episode. More than anything, the plot line, the B plot of this episode is the DMA, which what they're calling the anomaly. And they're at the Navarre
There
Science
was so much
Institute.
exposition with that little thing too. It was just annoying.
I know that there was a lot of exposition, but also like the audience will know what a black hole is made of. I'm like, honestly, gun to my head, I don't know. um, so he goes to the Navarre Science Institute, and he wastes everyone's time. The Navarre Science Institute is a complete waste of a scene. Every single time we go there, we don't learn anything new. We are just stalled with, well, shit. The Navarre, you know what? Stamets, you were right. It's not that. Bye-bye for now. And even like with the mind meld, it's just the mind meld has a good emotional resonance for Book, and I appreciate it on that level because I think Book is being the emotional core of the season so far. Whenever he's on screen, I'm enjoying it. But
well, I would hope so. His entire family and planet were destroyed.
Yes, and I think they're handling that much better than I had anticipated Discovery to handle something like that. But they have this moment where she's looking for proof of tachyons, and we just don't learn anything new. It's a waste of nothing. You could have done this in a Post-it note. Didn't learn anything new. Bye.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one thing that bugged me about Book's thing though is that I wish they would have done this mind meld thing like episode 7 or 8. Like have him go through some stuff for the next. Like I have a feeling what's going to happen is he's done the mind meld. He's got his memory of his nephew, and now like his loss. I'm in fear that his loss is going to be kind of just set aside, and he's going to be like the old Book again, and that's going to bug me. I'm like, dude, it's just been 2 episodes, like I would like for him to have gone through this entire thing and maybe get the mind meld at the very end, have him, that would be the closure,
That's a good point.
We'll see. I mean, but who knows what's going to happen in the next few episodes.
Like at the end of the day, this is still the Michael Burnham show. Like we can't give someone else the emotional arc of the show. Are you crazy?
So what is her arc though? Her arc is going to be what?
She doesn't have one yet.
He doesn't have one. So the only thing that we've got so far from her is that she's having a little bit of uneasiness with the president. That's about it.
Yeah.
There's
and I guess
nothing else. And she's I mean her I guess her loss would also be, or her emotional baggage would be having to deal with Book, who has more emotional baggage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think there is something that we haven't really touched on, and it's the thing we saw in the first episode. That we anticipated this season would be about Burnham dealing with command, now having to deal with the Kobayashi Maru, but on a grander scale. And that's kind of what the first episode sets up, but we haven't touched on that in the 2 episodes since. Yeah. That's not necessarily a bad thing. We could I don't mind you putting that on the back foot for now, but you're getting kind of dangerously close to it being too far away from that to matter. Right. If they don't start addressing it again in the next episode,
they have to. I mean, there's only 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you can't just go like, okay, command problems, nothing. Command problems, nothing. Command problem, nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have to start addressing it again, because if Burnham is supposed to be the emotional center of the show, then she needs to actually struggle with what we set up in the first episode by the next one. Because if we don't do it by the next one, we're too late.
And the stakes need to be something more personal, as opposed to just like, hey, this random anomaly is going to come by and grab you. We got to figure out what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The stakes need to be more personal. I'm a little bummed that something didn't happen to her mom, because I think that could have been a good emotional thing that she has to deal with. And then on top of that, she also has to deal with Book. And on top of that, she has to deal with a bunch of, you know what I mean?
I hate that her mom's alive. It serves no narrative purpose to the story. I hate to say that, because like I thought it was a good reveal in the second season that she was alive. Yeah. I thought that was a cool bit where it's like, now I have to try and save my mom. But the only thing we've done with that is every now and then she shows up as a co-op Malat, which I think is a stupid plot. I thought it was stupid in season 3. It's still stupid now. Like, I just don't give a shit when it's always just kind of like, hey mom, we're going to give it a hug and then let's do this mission. And it's like, all right, are we doing anything with this? Are we doing anything emotional with this? Is this relevant to any story that we're telling? You're right. Burnham needs to lose something, because if not, then it's just, well, Michael Burnham has always been right. It's kind of the Kirk problem, you know. Like Kirk always got out of it. That's what Wrath of Khan's about.
Mm-hmm.
The Wrath of Khan is good. So like, I don't know. I hope that we start addressing this. And I don't know if I want a main character to die at this point, because I don't know many of the main characters, but I think someone close to her needs to die in order for her to come to terms with this.
I think it would be good for Star Trek too if the 32nd century ends up being this universe where the Federation is not like the almighty like it was during TNG DS9, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be way more interesting when the stakes are high every episode. Like, hey, nobody is safe, and you have to, like, every time, and you need to have good, if you have that and plus good character development where you start caring about the characters that actually die. I think that you'll start to see Star Trek going off. I mean, if they want to take it off in a new direction, I think that's the way you do it. I don't think that the way that it is right now is healthy for Star Trek.
Yeah,
I their agree. Future, at least.
I especially agree when it comes to Discovery.
Yes.
I think Discovery picked a lane early on and then backed away from that idea, and then kind of dabbles back in that lane every now and then. And like I said last week, I think Discovery is best when it goes and sticks to the lane that it chose to be in. I think they do that well. And when they're kind of going back and forth of like, you know, are we classic Star Trek? Are we this Star Trek? Are we new Star Trek? What are we doing? I think you somehow have an identity crisis, and that has led to them having such poorly developed characters 4 seasons in, and honestly, like not a great show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
not going to disagree with you.
There are 2 things though that we haven't discussed. The resolution of the Qowat Milat story is that she bound her sword to a species that was supposed to awaken hundreds of years ago.
The Xenomorphs, yeah,
the Xenomorphs. I don't mind
the Care Bear Xenomorphs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind when we see less, more alien looking species in Star Trek. Like, I think it's kind of cool.
Did you ever watch? Oh shoot, never mind. Keep going. Falling Skies. Did you ever watch Falling Skies?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I love that show. It's about an alien invasion on Earth. Yada yada.
Yeah, Noah Hawley's in that.
Yeah. But some of the aliens actually lightweight reminded me of that.
Oh,
just
cool.
A little bit, yeah.
I like the idea that I do kind of like the idea there where it's like this moon has been hollowed out to be like a space station that was going to be their salvation, and
That's no moon.
That's no moon.
Space
station. They did that. They did that.
They did it.
Oh well. And so like I like the idea that the Qowat Milat wants to protect them because of this anomaly, and doesn't want the species to go extinct because and also protect some poachers because their blood is latinum.
No, there's something in the casing that's like latinum.
I thought it was like them. They
like parts of them, but mainly the casing is what she said.
Okay.
But either way, whatever, like inside is valuable latinum, and when they open them up, they die.
I'm surprised latinum is still a currency in the 32nd century.
With the fall of the largest entity in the galaxy, there has to be some form of currency, I think. So I think that actually makes more sense than anything.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just surprised
with some kind of like gold pressed.
Because like currency doesn't, currency doesn't last
in the Federation, but with the Federation being so dismantled and just so in all these worlds now in disarray, there's going to be something.
No, I mean to say, like, in 100 years, we're not going to have paper money.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 700 years, they still have latinum. I was a little surprised.
So latinum's not paper though. Latinum's actual, like, it's a metal.
Right. I guess it would be like if we had
it's a
gold.
It's a source. It's a like an actual physical thing.
So we still haven't figured out how to replicate latinum? I feel like we should have figured that out by now. There little things about like 700 years in the future, maybe like do some effort to explain how things have changed and maybe things haven't. Like, you know, I'm more so like, I don't mind going back to like, oh, it's Latinum. Cool. Okay, Latinum's still in the galaxy. But like having, like, if it was like a different currency that evolved from
You see,
Latinum.
it would be more. I think it would have been better if, like, what was inside them was maybe like parts of like a little bit of dilithium, something like that. I mean, but then again, she had to
And
steal dilithium to get there. But either way, she had to steal something else other than dilithium and kill the officer for something other than dilithium, and then like have grave robbers going to try to get the dilithium inside the little egg sack. I think that would be more believable, I guess, if
yeah,
we're more on that same
I
line
don't,
of our conversation.
I don't mind that it's Latinum. I just, the imagination.
It did feel like just like a, hey, remember Latinum?
Yeah,
Hey,
like
remember this? Hey,
the
remember that?
imagination at play in Star Trek Discovery is just non-existent sometimes.
No, it's just the member berries.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
But Michael Burnham takes 10 minutes because she's magic to fix their ship and stun. She fixes the ship and everyone wakes up and everybody lives happily ever after.
Yeah, she's freaking genius, man. I mean,
cool.
She figured out like an alien spacecraft's controls that had nothing in the database, and that's hundreds of years in advance from her own time period. She's incredible.
I know, she's so good.
Incredible. My gosh, she is the best captain of all Star Trek.
It bugs me. Like, hey, can we get a science team out here and figure this out? Like, that's the move. But whatever. And then the big, I think, emotional moment of the other big emotional moment is that Gray is alive.
Yeah, fine. I mean, they try to put some tension in, like, oh, he didn't wake up. Didn't wake up. I mean, we all knew he was going to wake up.
Yeah, we're not going to end that story with tragedy.
No, of course not. So, I mean, it was fine. I liked the bit with the, I mean, I loved when he woke up and gave Colburn that huge hug.
Yes,
very sweet. That was probably the climax of the emotional story arc of this episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest with you, I think Gray is a far more interesting character than Adira still. I still Adira bugs the hell out of me.
Do they?
Yeah. But I love Gray's character. I really do. I hope to see more. I like to see what happens when he's now able to interact with everybody else, and actually the dynamic between him and Adira, I think will obviously will and should change just for the sake of their characters, and have them grow as individuals as opposed to being as individuals having to be apart. Does that make sense? Yeah.
There's a story that I can see that I don't want them doing where, because Gray wants to be a guardian, that he goes back to.
And then he's just gone.
He's just gone, and I don't want that.
That would annoy me. I mean, after all this, after 4 seasons of this, that would annoy me too.
Yeah, I can see that happening. But I would like to have Gray remain on the ship. I do really like the moment where he's alive. And the the kind of idea of like the Trill can remove a consciousness from the symbiote and put it into into a new body. I think that's a cool idea. I thought that all that's well handled. It's not a big enough deal to like help the episode or hurt the episode. But I did like the emotional beat of the end of it. Just the manufactured trauma of like maybe he won't wake up is a little much.
What I can see them doing. I mean, actually, no, I don't think that this will happen because, to be honest, I really don't think Discovery has the balls to do this. But I just piggybacking off of the emotional character building of these two characters. I don't know if what else are we expected to see out of Adira? Like, is there more to her character that we really need to like explore? Like, I honestly don't I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I would be surprised because I don't think that, like I said, I don't think the writers have the balls to do it. But if Adira died somehow, and then Gray has to now deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe there's like some kind of like some after effect of the consciousness transference into the body that screwed with Adira so much that maybe towards the end of the season, Adira does die, and Gray has to now deal with the fact that, like, yes, I'm alive now, but I'm also the cause of Adira's death.
Sure. We also need to figure out why Gray was able to appear to Adira in the way that he was.
Yeah.
That's just been dropped.
That's just.
I need to know, like, because it became like a, why didn't you tell them you can still see me? Like, that's what happens.
Didn't someone was able to see one time briefly?
Oh, that was the hologram, because the hologram was able to create the.
Okay.
And that was okay. But it's weird that Gray was able to kind of exist as a separate consciousness within Adira, and I do hope that we don't drop that, and I hope we don't drop Gray at all. Like, I think Gray should be on the ship.
I think of the two of them, I think Gray is well, one, I think Gray is the more interesting character. I think Gray has the most potential to have to be an even more interesting character, I guess, on of the two of them. Adira, I honestly feel like Adira has just overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, I hope we get. I hope they fix that though, because I think there's still. There should still be potential.
I think they're going to try. I think they're going to try. Like I said, I don't think they have the balls to do anything that I had suggested. So I think they're going to try.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we'll see. All in all, this was a very lackluster episode of the show.
After talking with you, like, I was kind of in the lower middle ground. I am now leaning more, like, as I'm like recapping everything. Like, yeah, I'm more towards you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Conform. Yeah, like I don't like bashing on Star Trek in general, but
I love bashing on anything, even shows I absolutely love. I love bashing. It's so fun to me, but I feel like bashing is not always like a negative thing.
No, I think it's important that, like, when Discovery is bad, it should be called out. Because Discovery...
When anything is bad.
Well, I think Discovery specifically... Discovery is carrying the torch of Star Trek. It's their flagship Star Trek show. And it has proven that it can do really good episodes. It just oftentimes exists in the middle where it's comfortable. But when it slips down that far, I think it's really important to just be like, look, you screwed up. If you're carrying the Star Trek torch, you need to do better. I mean, that's not to say like all the episodes of Star Trek are good. There's some bad ones out there, but like Discovery needs to learn. That's
the difference between Discovery and all the OG shows is by season 4 they all kind of learned.
Yeah,
I still haven't felt that with this show yet.
I still feel like we're watching the first season.
Yeah. I think it's because we jumped times.
No, but even then,
I feel like once we jump times, it's like they even reverted. Like that felt like a season 1 again.
Yeah, even then, it just feels so weird. Like every season doesn't feel like a progression of the last. It just kind of feels like we start over every season with characters. And I never come I so far have not come out of any season going like, I know these characters better.
Oh yeah, no.
I always come out of it saying, I don't know anything new about these characters.
Yeah. Nope.
Give me an episode about Detmer and Awoshikin.
Yeah.
Give me an episode where they go out on a date. Let me learn something about them.
I absolutely love Detmer. I think she's awesome. She's like the poor man's 7 of 9.
She had a really cool episode last season where she flew Book's ship.
Yeah.
That was cool. Give me more of that.
I would like to see Book take on like hang out with more people from the ship on his ship. Like a Detmer, take someone under his wing.
Our main character, there's too many main characters in the show that are just, I'm science guy.
It has such a strong resemblance to the Eternal movies. in the sense that there's just
too
many characters, and they just can't. They're just trying to force everything down our throat, and it's just not working.
To be fair, but this show has more real estate to work with than Eternals did, and it's still having the same problem. That's ridiculous.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. I'm done.
All right, cool.
Next week, hey, whatever. Hopefully it's a better episode next week. Discovery has proven that they can do some pretty good episodes. I still really like Unification 3. I think that's a good episode.
I think that has to be the highlight of the entire series.
Certainly that season.
No, I think the entire series. I can't think of one that I like better than that.
I really like the season 2 finale.
I still like Unification 3 better.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, okay, so that'll do it. We're doing this every week. There's other Fake News Watch series. We just recorded Hawkeye. That's going to be coming out soon. Actually, that's probably up.
Watch that.
You should. Well,
yeah, no. Well, I mean, I got to watch everything anyway.
Yeah. You're a content creator, sir.
Sure, I guess. I mean, I would at this point I would say former content creator. It's been
when's your podcast coming back?
Yeah, well, as soon as all these cameras right there, like this, like that one, this one, that one, as soon as they start working correctly, I don't know what the heck I think I updated some like firmware or something like that, and now it's all screwy, and now my video editing software is acting all screwy. I don't know what's
Mike. You set the bar too high. You know what camera I use for my podcast? This one.
Oh, the webcam?
Yeah.
You know me. I like to get my multiple angles.
I know. You set your bar too high, man.
I know. I think I just need to upgrade to better cameras.
Or downgrade and just do an audio podcast.
or that, yeah.
There's that. You have options, man. It's not that hard to do a podcast. Look at us. Look at us. Yeah. All right. That'll do it. So there is a Hawkeye episode coming that's probably up by the time you're watching this one. And then we'll be back again next week with another episode of Star Trek Discovery, Fake News Watch. The Hawkeye episode is the first 3 episodes. So, it's a lot. We had a lot to say about the first 2 episodes.
Cool.
All right.
Negative, positive, a little spoiler-free review.
They're fine.
Fine. Got it.
The 3rd episode's pretty good, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll do it. So stay tuned. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. You can check out all sorts of other things. But Mike, where can they find you?
They can find me on the Downright Nerdy Podcast YouTube channel, which the link I think is down below. And you can also find me on Instagram at Downright Nerdy Podcast. What do I got coming up next week on my channel, Downright Nerdy with movies? I got to choose the movie. I didn't know what to choose, so I put a whole bunch of movies on my own personal wheel, and I spun that up and popped out 2004's King Arthur, starring Clive Owen, Keira Knightley, and who's the dude that played Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movie? I don't know. Whatever. And my boy Mads Mikkelsen is in it too. I can't.
Is he in that?
Oh yeah.
As who?
You know what? Maybe you should watch it and have a little guest appearance on the show, buddy.
I haven't seen that movie in ages.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, I've watched it several times.
I don't remember liking it.
Oh, really? I liked it.
But to be fair, I watched it when I was 14.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. I mean, to me, it almost has the same nostalgia as like a Mummy movie. It's like It's not as good as the Mummy. Don't get me wrong. It's not as good as the Mummy.
I was about to say.
No. Yeah.
Maybe. Look, I might actually watch it again because I don't remember it. And I really like the King Arthur story.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course you can check out other shows on this channel, such as Fake News Watch. There's 2 going on right now. There's Basement Arcade, there's Basement Arcade Pause Menu, there's Animation Station, and there's Fake Nerd Book Club. So you can check out all those shows. For conversation, we're running out the week. We're running out the year. We're going to be ending the year strong, I think. I'm very excited to be off air for a while. Except for this will go on through.
Okay. You guys are taking a break?
So at the end of every year, we take about 2 weeks.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Because we don't record on Christmas. We don't record the week of Christmas. That's when we put out a Christmas special generally.
Yep.
And then New Year's falls on a Sunday. So we were like, let's just skip New Year's too, and we'll be back the week after. But we'll still have content out. Of course, Fake Nerds Watch will continue. This will, because Book of Boba Fett will go on, and we'll probably want to do a Fake News Watch there. This will continue, and then we want to do a Matrix Resurrections review special that'll be put out in that time. So it's not really a hiatus, but the main show will be off air for a bit. The main show, however, is going through the Spider-Man movies right now, guys. Right now, you can watch and listen to the OG Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. We break down all 3 of those movies. Hey, man, spoiler alert: those movies are great. Well, 2 of those movies are great.
Yeah.
And next week, this coming week, we'll be talking about Marc Webb's and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. There may be some controversial opinions on that episode, so stay tuned for that. And then the week after that is Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's it. That's the rest of the Fake Nerd podcast. That show
are not going to go through all the Holland ones too.
No, we've already reviewed all of those on the show.
Just not as a whole.
Yeah. We just wanted to, because none of his villains are going to be in the next No Way Home. We're only doing the original. We don't know. Vulture's and Morbius.
Okay. All
right. Vulture or Mysterio could show up, and I wouldn't be surprised. Mm-hmm. But we don't know.
I think Blade's going to show up.
Also, wouldn't be surprised. He showed up in Eternals. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert for Eternals. Yeah. And that's that. That's the end of the year schedule. A lot of cool stuff this month. If you're still listening to this, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel once again. And of course, you can check out our Patreon. You can check out our TeePublic. All links are found on our what's it called? It's called the website. It's called the website, guys. At fakenerdpodcast.com. Speaking of Spider-Man, if you don't want to watch all these movies, I wrote an article, a listicle of where all the live-action Spider-Man villains were left at the end of their movies, leading into No Way Home. So, cool. If you don't want to watch 5 movies, read that article. And that's that. All right. Till next time we see us, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.